When you love someone for real, you do not whisper it only in words. You speak it in the way you stay. You speak it in patience when the world is loud, in kindness when pride is tempting, and in courage when walking away would be easier. Real love is not a performance for applause. It is a quiet promise made between two souls that say, I see you, and I am not afraid of what I see. It is the kind of love that does not rush, does not conquer, does not demand perfection, but instead chooses presence, truth, and grace. And when love is real, it does not simply touch a heart, it teaches a life how to stand taller, breathe deeper, and believe again. Real love begins where excitement ends. It shows up after the butterflies have rested their wings, after the applause has faded, after the thrill has learned the shape of routine. Feelings are beautiful visitors, but they are not permanent residents. They come and go like seasons, changing with weather we cannot always predict. Real love understands this truth and does not panic when emotion grows quiet. Instead, it stands still and says, I am here, even now. That is where love becomes more than a feeling. It becomes a decision. Choosing love means waking up on days when joy feels distant and still offering kindness. It means answering gently when irritation knocks at the door. It means remembering why you chose someone when life tries to distract you with reasons to quit. Real love is not loud in those moments. It is steady. It does not demand fireworks every night. It asks for faith, patience, and the humility to keep choosing the same heart again and again. There are moments when love feels easy, when laughter flows and connection feels effortless. But there are also moments when love feels heavy, when silence stretches long and misunderstandings build walls between words. Real love does not run from those moments. It leans in. It listens more than it speaks. It chooses understanding over ego, compassion over winning, and healing over pride. That choice, repeated daily, becomes the foundation of something unbreakable. To love for real is to accept responsibility, not for controlling another person, but for tending to the bond you share. It means asking yourself, how can I show love today? Not, what am I getting back? Real love does not keep score. It gives freely, trusting that what is genuine will find its way home. And when mistakes are made, as they always are, real love chooses forgiveness, not because forgetting is easy, but because carrying bitterness is too costly for the soul. Choosing love also means choosing growth. You do not remain the same person you were when you first said yes to someone. Life will stretch you, challenge you, and sometimes exhaust you. Real love allows room for that change. It does not cling to old versions or punish evolution. It understands that loving someone is not about freezing them in time, but walking beside them as they become. And there will be days when love feels like work. Honest, tiring, necessary work. On those days, the choice matters most, because love that is chosen in difficulty is love that builds character, depth, and endurance. It is love that teaches you discipline of the heart, the kind that stays when convenience disappears. When you love someone for real, you understand that love is not sustained by feeling alone. It is sustained by commitment, by everyday decisions made quietly, faithfully, and with intention. That is the kind of love that lasts, not because it is perfect, but because it is chosen again and again, long after the feeling has learned how to rest. When you love someone for real, you do not try to own them. You do not shrink their world to make yourself feel secure. Real love understands that a heart was not created to live in a cage, no matter how beautiful the cage may look. Love, when it is true, opens doors instead of locking them. It says, go, explore, grow, and trust that what is genuine will not get lost on the way. Because love that fears freedom has already forgotten trust. Real love does not ask someone to become smaller so you can feel larger. It does not silence dreams, dim laughter, or question worth. Instead, it stands beside another soul and says, "Become who you are meant to be, and I will not compete with your growth." There is confidence in that kind of love. Confidence that does not cling, does not stalk, does not suffocate. It knows that love does not survive by control, it survives by respect. To love freely is to release the need to monitor every step, every word, every choice. It is understanding that love is not proven through possession, but through presence. When someone knows they are trusted, they do not feel the urge to escape. They feel safe enough to stay. Real love creates a space where breathing is easy, where being yourself is not a crime, but a celebration. Love that liberates allows mistakes without humiliation and independence without punishment. It does not use guilt as a leash or fear as a language. It communicates openly, honestly, and with care. It understands that two whole people choosing each other is stronger than two incomplete souls clinging out of fear. Real love says, "I want you," not because I need to trap you, but because you choose to be here. There is a quiet strength in loving without chains. It requires self-trust and emotional maturity. It means facing your own insecurities instead of placing them on someone else's shoulders. Real love asks you to heal yourself so you do not bleed onto the one you claim to love. It is brave enough to say, "I will not control you to feel safe. I will grow so I can love you better." And when love liberates, it transforms both hearts. One feels valued, not owned. The other feels secure, not threatened. Together, they rise. Together, they expand. They learn that love is not about limiting life, but enriching it. Not about surveillance, but support. Not about fear of loss, but faith in connection. When you love someone for real, you give them wings, and you are not afraid they will fly away. Because you understand this truth. Love that is free always finds its way back. And love that must be trapped was never truly love at all. When you love someone for real, you do not love a fantasy. You love a human being, layered, imperfect, unfinished. You do not close your eyes and pretend their flaws do not exist. You open them wider and choose honesty over illusion. Real love does not ask you to be blind. It asks you to be brave, brave enough to see habits that irritate you, wounds that slow them down, and fears they do not always know how to name, and still say, "I am here." Loving clearly means you stop projecting who you want someone to be and start honoring who they actually are. You stop falling in love with potential alone and begin respecting reality. Because potential without acceptance becomes pressure, and pressure suffocates love. Real love says, "I see your light, and I also see your shadows, and neither scares me away." That kind of love does not romanticize pain, but it does not abandon someone for being human either. Seeing clearly also means recognizing that no one arrives healed, polished, or complete. We all come with history in our pockets and lessons etched into our behavior. Real love does not punish someone for the scars they survived. It does not demand perfection as the price of staying. Instead, it chooses patience. It understands that growth is uneven, progress is slow, and healing does not move in straight lines. When you love blindly, you ignore warning signs and call it loyalty. When you love clearly, you acknowledge truth and call it wisdom. Real love does not excuse harmful behavior, nor does it confuse endurance with devotion. It has boundaries. It knows that love should never require the erasure of self. Seeing clearly means knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when love must also include self-respect. Clear love communicates. It does not expect minds to be read or silence to be understood. It asks questions instead of making assumptions. It listens without preparing a defense. It understands that misunderstanding does not mean the absence of love. It means the need for conversation. Real love values truth over comfort, even when truth feels heavy. And still, loving clearly means choosing compassion over judgment. It means understanding that people act from their wounds before they act from their wisdom. It does not weaponize flaws during conflict or store mistakes for later use. It addresses issues with care, not cruelty. Because real love is not about winning arguments, it is about protecting the bond. To see someone clearly is to stay grounded in reality while holding space for hope. It is to love them as they are while believing in who they are becoming without forcing the timeline. Real love does not rush transformation. It walks alongside it. It knows that clarity does not weaken love, it strengthens it. Your love does not arrive with force. It does not shout, threaten, or demand to be heard. Real love speaks softly, yet its presence is undeniable. It is felt in calm reassurance, in steady hands during moments of fear, in the way safety settles into a room when that person is near. This kind of love understands that power does not always need noise. Sometimes the strongest things in life are quiet. Gentle love does not bruise the spirit. It does not use harsh words to prove a point or sharp tones to claim authority. Instead, it chooses kindness even when frustration would be easier. It understands that words can wound long after they are spoken, so it speaks with care. Real love knows when to be silent, when to listen, and when a soft response can heal what anger would only deepen. There is strength in tenderness. It takes courage to remain gentle in a world that often celebrates hardness. Real love resists the urge to dominate or overpower. It does not try to win every argument or assert control to feel important. Its power lies in restraint, in emotional maturity, in the ability to respond rather than react. This is the love that holds instead of pushes, that steadies instead of shakes. Gentle love shows up in moments others overlook. It notices when energy is low, when sadness hides behind a smile, when words fall short. It does not rush to fix everything. Sometimes it simply stays. It understands that presence can be more powerful than advice, that sitting beside someone in silence can speak louder than speeches ever could. This kind of love heals not because it is dramatic, but because it is consistent. It soothes old wounds through reliability, through showing up again and again without conditions. It does not disappear during storms or withdraw affection as punishment. Real love remains steady when emotions are unsteady. That steadiness becomes a shelter, a place where hearts can rest without fear. Gentle power also means protecting without controlling. It defends with dignity, supports without suffocating, and corrects without humiliation. It understands that love should never break someone to rebuild them. Real love builds without destroying. It lifts without reminding someone how low they once were. Its power is in how safe it makes another person feel. And when conflict arises, as it always will, gentle love does not turn cruel. It does not attack weaknesses or reopen healed wounds. It chooses resolution over revenge, understanding over ego. It knows that love is not proven by how hard you can hurt someone, but by how carefully you handle their heart when it is in your hands. Your love becomes a place of rest, not a battlefield. It becomes a quiet strength that restores confidence, a steady warmth that brings life back to tired souls. This is the love that heals without force, teaches without fear, and lasts without noise. Gentle yet powerful enough to change lives forever. You step into a world that asks for courage every day. It is easy to love from a distance, to admire from afar, to keep your heart behind walls built from past hurts. But real love requires you to stand with your heart open, exposed to the winds of uncertainty. It asks you to risk embarrassment, disappointment, and even heartbreak. To love deeply is to know that the very thing that gives life its sweetness can also bring sorrow, and to step forward anyway. Courage in love is not reckless. It does not leap blindly into danger without thought or care. It is deliberate, quiet, and steady. It means showing up even when fear whispers that you might fail. It means saying, I see you, I value you, I am here even when your voice shakes and your hands tremble. This courage is what allows trust to grow, because without it, love remains shallow, safe, and easily broken. Loving courageously also means being vulnerable. It is showing your own flaws, admitting mistakes, and revealing parts of yourself that feel fragile. Real love asks you to risk being seen fully, without armor, without disguise. It is terrifying because the world has taught us that vulnerability is weakness, but in truth, it is strength. To allow someone into the corners of your heart that are tender and unpolished is an act of bravery, and it is in those corners that real intimacy grows. There will be moments when your courage is tested, when disappointment arrives, when arguments shake your bond, when doubt seeps in through small cracks in your certainty. Courage does not always roar. Sometimes it is a whisper that says, "Stay, listen, try again." It is the quiet persistence that allows love to endure storms and emerge deeper and stronger on the other side. Courage also means holding boundaries. To love truly is not to surrender yourself completely or allow abuse to hide behind affection. It is knowing when to step back, when to speak truth, and when to protect your heart without resentment. It is the bravery to demand respect while still offering tenderness. Real love does not sacrifice self-worth in the name of devotion. It honors both hearts equally. And in this courage, love teaches patience. It shows you that pain is temporary, that rejection does not define your value, that every moment of fear faced is a brick laid in the foundation of trust. It reminds you that the act of loving fully, despite uncertainty, is itself a triumph. Even if love is not returned as you hope, the courage to love leaves a mark on your soul that no failure can erase. To love for real is to be brave enough to risk everything the heart holds dear. It is to embrace uncertainty, to face vulnerability, to persist through doubt and discomfort. Courage turns love from a fleeting feeling into a living, breathing force that shapes your life, your character, and the world around you. Without it, love may exist, but it cannot thrive. With it, love becomes immortal. Your love leaves traces long after the moments have passed. It leaves echoes in the heart that time cannot erase, imprints on the soul that shape who you are, and lessons that whisper through the quiet corners of your mind. Even when the relationship ends, even when separation becomes inevitable, the love you gave and received does not vanish. It lingers in the way you see the world, in the way you treat others, and in the way you understand your own heart. Real love leaves a legacy, invisible but powerful, like roots beneath the soil that nourish life above. Love that leaves a legacy does not demand permanence to matter. It does not need to be immortalized in ceremonies or promises. Its power is measured in growth, in transformation, and in the courage it awakens. When you have loved fully, you are braver than before. You have taken risks that scared you, opened doors that felt dangerous, and allowed yourself to be vulnerable when the world might have told you to hide. Every act of genuine love is an act of courage, and courage, once practiced, never fully disappears. It becomes part of you, quietly shaping the way you face life's uncertainties. Love also leaves kindness in its wake. To love deeply is to practice empathy, to learn patience, and to discover the subtle art of understanding another human being. Even when love is no longer reciprocated, the kindness you cultivated remains with you. It touches the strangers you meet, the friends you hold dear, and the family who rely on your care. Real love teaches generosity of spirit, reminding you that hearts are meant to be nurtured, not hoarded, and that the true measure of love is in how it expands the capacity to give, not just to receive. Beyond courage and kindness, love leaves you more human. It humbles you, reminding you of your own limitations and your own capacity for growth. Love shows you patience when you wish to be impulsive, forgiveness when resentment tempts you, and empathy when judgment beckons. It teaches that perfection is never the goal, that beauty exists in imperfection, and that every flaw is an invitation to deeper understanding. Real love transforms you, not by changing who you are at the surface, but by shaping the way you inhabit your own soul. The legacy of love becomes a quiet teacher. It whispers truths about resilience, about the value of trust, and about the sacredness of presence. It reminds you that even in endings, love has purpose. It does not vanish into nothingness. It flows into the way you relate, the way you choose, and the way you continue to hope. And as long as you carry those lessons forward, you carry the essence of the love you gave, and it lives on, not just in memory, but in every life you touch.